Introduce myself. My name is Tricia Pellerin, and I'm the Assistant Director of Housing.
And I'm Nikki Labarge, and I'm a Secretary in the Housing Office.
And tonight we're going to kind of take you through the basic steps in applying to housing and answering kind of any of your questions that you may have about the housing process here. So if you folks have questions, feel free to type them in as we go. We will try to answer them as we go through things. And if not, we may wait until the end because we may touch on your question as we go. All right. So kind of to start, how to apply for housing. So the basic steps for applying for housing. Step one, you pay your admissions deposit. So as soon as you know that SUNY Plattsburgh is definitely your choice school and where you're going to come, once you pay that $250 deposit, that includes the housing deposit. Once you do that, you're going to go to the admissions checklist. You can kind of see on the page here, we have a little screenshot of what that list looks like from your kind of point of view. What you're going to do to find the housing application is you're going to look for where it says complete housing application and waiver link. You're going to click on that, and that's going to take you to the home page of the housing module, which will look kind of like this page here. So up where you see the kind of the little photo here in the corner, your student name will show up there and your banner information as well. Now, to be able to access the housing application, like I said, you have to pay the deposit first. It takes about 24 hours for our system to register that you've paid that. So for example, if you were to pay that deposit today, you're not going to be able to have access to the application until sometime tomorrow. Now on this page here, you can see at the top of the page there's a few different categories. You can click on applications to see the drop down for whatever application you are eligible for. You will see personal information tab, roommate selection, and meal plan. Also, additionally, you'll notice on many of the pages that we go through, on the right-hand side, you will see some important reminders or helpful information. Take a look at those as you go through each page because there's some helpful information that will help guide you through the application. All right, so as you can kind of see here at the top of the page, to get to the application, you'll see that tab, as I mentioned before. And this is what it will look like when you click on that. You'll have access to two different applications at this point. The housing exemption form, you'll see that at the top, that's if you're looking for an off-campus housing request. Now here at SUNY Plattsburgh, we do have a housing policy here where students need to live on campus for at least 4 semesters. So that's either 4 semesters between here or another institution. So if you're transferring in, for example, you've already lived somewhere for 2 semesters, you'll need to live on campus here at SUNY Plattsburgh for another 2 semesters before you'd be exempt to move off campus. Some of our other standard exemptions are if you are married, if you will be 21 years or older by October 1st, or if you're commuting from a parent or guardian's home that's within 60 miles of the campus. So you would fill out that application, and one thing we ask students to do is don't sign a lease or make any arrangements for off-campus housing until you know that you've been exempt from the housing policy. So once you do that, our office will get notified that you've submitted that application, and we will communicate with you, letting you know whether or not you are exempt from the policy. Now for the housing application. If you go to apply for housing, you'll click on that link, as I mentioned. And this is the first page you're going to see. This is our housing license agreement. So by signing up to housing, you're agreeing that you're going to sign up for the entire academic year. In doing so, you'll kind of read through, you can see some links here. You can link to our housing manual to understand some of our policies in further depth. You can also see on here that it does give you the estimated room rent per year and per semester. So that is listed on there as well. And the box that you see at the bottom is actually for you to put your signature. So if you're ready to go ahead and sign the application, you're going to put your mouse cursor in that box, and you'll actually be able to sign the application. All right, and then the next page, as you hit continue, it's going to ask you a series of questions. Some of these questions, most of them are required. So you're going to answer, you know, after this semester, you've lived on college campus for how many semesters? So if you're a new incoming freshman, you haven't lived on campus at all yet, so you're going to place 0. For number 2, this is if a student has a physical disability or an ailment that may require accommodations. It's important if you let us know that, but also helpful if you send us an email or give us a call to let us know that you are also looking for accommodations, and we can help direct you on how to fill out that paperwork with our Student Health Center. Then the next question is asking if you would like to live with an international student, which is someone whose home is outside the United States. And the answers to that are yes, no, or no preference. You know, are you a substance-free person and you wish that your roommate also be? Are you a smoker? What are your cleaning habits like? Are you someone who's neat? Are you clean or messy? Or are you someone kind of in between? Are you someone that usually studies early in the morning or late at night? Are you someone who typically goes to bed early in the morning or late at night? And the last question on here asks you about your housing preference. It's going to give you 2 separate options. You don't have to answer this, but if a student is interested in living in one of our special housing preferences, such as gender-inclusive housing or substance-free housing, you may select that on this page. All right, and the next question is going to ask you about your living request. On this, you're going to be able to pick up to 5 of your top building preferences, okay? We do ask that you do select up to 5, so that way, you know, if we're not able to accommodate your first choice, we can kind of look at the list and be able to see what other options you are looking at. This is kind of an example of what you could choose. So as you can see, there's 5 different building choices that this person has selected. You can go on there anytime and make changes to that as you wish. I'm just going to take a moment here and look at some of the questions that were coming through, see if we can't answer these right now. Okay, so someone asked, they said that they're coming here to Spring Open House on April 2nd, and they want to see if they are, I'm able to do all of this all day on campus. Okay, so you're interested to see if you can do your housing application, all of that. Well, the housing application you can do anytime. You can do it from your home. But if you do come for open house, there are going to be some tours of some of the residence halls. So if you want to wait to fill out your application until after you come to campus, that's fine. Or I would suggest fill out your application, and then if you're not sure about your building preferences, you can go on there after you visit campus to see which buildings you are interested in living in. The next question is campus housing guaranteed for all 4 years, and what percentage of students live on campus all 4 years? So we can guarantee housing pretty much for all 4 years. We actually do have some students who are in their 5th year in grad school who are still living on campus, and we've never had to turn students away. So if you're someone who thinks that you may want to live on campus for all 4 years, or even past that if you end up staying for grad school, we can pretty much guarantee that. Now, if you're asking us percentage-wise, I guess I'd have to give you a little bit of a guess. So our student population tends to float around 2,500 students living on campus, but our total population on campus is over 5,000. So I'd say we're around 50 to 60%, depending on the number of students that we have on campus that year. All right, and I'm going to kind of pass it over so you guys can hear from Nikki a little bit, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of our other processes in the application.
All right, guys, so the last part of the housing application is to select your dining plan. As you can see on this page, there's 4 different dining plans that students can choose from. The first is the Anytime Dining Meal Plan. This meal plan is required for all freshman students. The Flex 120 and Flex 150 are options for students who are not freshmen standing, and the Flex 450 plus 450 is a junior senior only meal plan. You can also visit the meal plans webpage if you have, questions, or if you want detailed information about the different meal plans on campus. But depending on what year student you are, the options that you're eligible for will automatically appear. So if you're a freshman, you will only be able to see the Anytime Dining meal plan. If you are not a freshman and you're eligible for other meal plans, those ones will appear. And then after you complete the housing application, you will get this thank you message. So it does say thank you for applying. This message confirms we've received your application. You will also get a confirmation email sent to your SUNY Plattsburgh email account confirming that you finished your application properly. Also note that when you refer back to your admissions checklist page, after you've completed the housing application, the box will not check off. You can always go back to your application. It will confirm the day and the time you submitted it, as well as that email that's sent to your housing application. Also in this thank you message, it does say that, that we will take any requests until, July, and that we'll be doing the housing assignments the first week in August. You'll be able to see your room assignment and roommate information on the home page of your housing portal. So after you have submitted your housing application, you are now eligible to select a roommate. So on the top toolbar, 2 over from applications, you will see roommate selection. You click on here and you'll submit for the term that you're looking for a roommate, which would be for the fall 2016 semester. Oh, actually, this is the roommate profile. Sorry, I'll get to the roommate preference after, but personal information is where you make your roommate profile. So when people are looking for you as a roommate, you can make a roommate profile so that way people can find out a little more information about you. You have the option to make this private or not private. If you do make this private, then nobody is going to be able to see any of this information about you. If you do select to not have it private, then you will be able to put any information you want other people to know about you, so that way they could, look you up and see if you're somebody that they would be interested to live with. Now for the roommate request, as I was mentioning before, this is where you go to find a roommate. So if you already know who you want to live with, you can go here and use the simple roommate search. So you just have to type in the last name and the first name. If you want to put their middle initial or email address, if you know that, you can put the information in there. If the person you're looking for does not show up, it would mean that they have not submitted their housing application yet. You will only be able to see people who have applied for housing. So if you scroll further down on the page, you're going to come to the advanced roommate search. So the top portion of this page is a little smushed together, but that's because there's a lot of information on there. But pretty much what it's showing is you can narrow down your roommate search if you don't know who you want to live with based off of their major, if you want your roommate to be substance-free, if you want your roommate to be a non-smoker. So any of those attributes you can narrow down your potential roommate by, and then you can begin the search. After you begin the search, you will be given the results of people who match that criteria that you're looking for. So after you submit your housing application, if you go up to applications and you select your housing application again, it's going to tell you that you did submit your application. So this is a way that you can confirm that your housing application has been submitted. You do have the option to revisit your housing application anytime up until the end or middle to end of July. So you'll have 2 options here. You can do nothing and return to the main menu. If you click that drop-down arrow, you can revisit your application. It will have you go through the whole application just like you did initially, but it's just going to update your preferences. So if you only want to update your building preferences, you still have to sign your name and re-review over, your roommate preferences, and then go to that building request, and you can add or take away, change any requests that you previously made. and it will not change your submit date. So if you submit your housing application in early February and after you come to orientation in June or July and you say, oh, I really want to change my building preference from this hall to this hall, you can go back on, change your preferences, and that will not change your submit date. If you want to change your dining plan, you go to the tab all the way on the far right-hand side, and this gives you the option to change your meal plan. As I mentioned before, freshmen can only have the anytime dining meal plan. So this is something that is good for transfer students. If they pick the wrong meal plan and they decide they want a different meal plan, they can go back here and change it after submitting their housing application. And then that's pretty much the last page of our slideshow. If you have questions, you can email Tricia or myself, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions, and we can go through some of the questions that you guys have submitted to us, and we can go over those in a little more detail. Okay. How much does housing cost? Is it easy to get on-campus housing? So if you go to the student accounts page on the SUNY Plattsburgh webpage, or if you go through the housing application, when you go to sign that agreement, it does tell you how much housing costs. That's one way of finding out how much housing costs. The other way, like I said before, is to visit the student accounts page on the SUNY Plattsburgh webpage. Okay, cool. So I will pull that up and show you how to access that. No, not there. No. Okay. So if you type in student accounts, you can look up residence hall room rates, and this tells you how much the room rates are for housing it lists the different buildings and the different room types. Majority of the room types on campus are standard double rooms, so that's going to be the cost that you are going to look for.
Okay, some folks asked, I guess the other part of that question is it easy to get on-campus housing? The answer is yes. As I mentioned before, we never have to turn students away, so that's not a problem. Just make sure you get your application in early. That's what we always recommend, because we do our housing placements on a first-come, first-served basis. So get that application in, that way you can, hopefully we'll be able to get you one of your top preferences that you select. Kind of the next question here is, what housing options exist as far as, is there honors, themed housing, is it co-ed, is there Greek housing, things like that. So we do have a couple different housing options on campus. And just to kind of give you the basics of that is, we do have 2 buildings that are for all first-year students. We can only fit about half of our incoming freshman class in those buildings, so we do put students throughout our buildings on campus. We do have substance-free housing for students who, choose to lead, a substance-free, lifestyle, and that they choose to, not come back to the building and be disruptive and things like that. We do also offer gender-inclusive housing, and what that is that's a special housing situation that we've worked to design within the last few years, and that allows our students to be able to essentially live with whoever they want in an environment that, is more comfortable for them. We do tend to have students who identify in the LGBTQ community sign up for that program, but we don't ever question why students are interested in that. Now, if students are interested in this program, we do ask that they also reach out to our office. That way we can send you the agreement to live in that area, because it is a little bit different. The other difference kind of in that area is that you would be sharing, bathroom facilities and things like that with other students who are also participating in the program. So those are kind of our general housing types. We don't really have themed housing community at this time.
Another question is, how hard is it to find off-campus housing? The Housing Office does provide an off-campus list of approved facilities off-campus, so pretty much the landlords off-campus have to contact our office and request for us to advertise their properties. We require them to be inspected by the city building inspector's office. There is a handful of off-campus facilities, but it is ultimately the student's responsibility to look for off-campus housing, although we are available to assist if that is the student's wish to reside off-campus if eligible. Another question is, what meal plans are available? Are freshmen required to purchase a specific type of meal plan? As I mentioned before, there are 4 different on-campus meal plan options, one of them being a freshman-only option, one of them being a junior-senior meal plan option, and then there's 2 other options. So again, freshmen can only have 1 meal plan, and then after you're a freshman and once you become sophomore student, then you can select from 3 meal plans, the anytime dining, the 2 flex plans, and once you reach a junior standing level, then you're eligible to have a junior senior meal plan. If you would like more information about the meal plans, you can visit PlattsburghCAS.com. Do the meal plans provide menus for special diets? So Tricia may want to help with this, but I do know that we do have our meal plans do offer special diets to accommodate students of different needs. So I do believe it can accommodate students with a gluten intolerance who have a kosher diet, a vegetarian diet. There is a campus dietitian who can assist students in finding those options on campus.
Yeah, so just to add on to that a little bit, we do have a campus dietitian available on campus. And he's very helpful with being able to point students in the right direction for various foods. So even if, as you mentioned, you may have some dietary needs, maybe you're vegan, things like that, we do have options available for students, and they can help with that. Additionally, our food staff is great. So if you were to go and talk to any of the food staff that's helping to prep the food, and there's something special that you're looking for, they can help prepare that for you. And again, our dietitian, his name is Jeff Valley. He's a very helpful person to reach out to. As far as looking for menus and things like that, I eat on campus all the time, and they actually, off of the College Auxiliary Services website, there is a link there for menus for the various dining facilities that you're in. And we can kind of pull that site up for you quickly just so you folks can kind of see what their web page looks like. All right, so for example, this is one of our dining halls, Algonquin. It's set up currently so you could look and see what their lunch specials is. And if you click on any of those kind of plus signs that you see next to items, you'll be able to kind of see what's kind of on their menu for the day. And if you kind of put your cursor over where the little, kind of like the little pictures are after the food items, it'll actually give you the ingredient list and things that are on there, which I find very helpful. But again, I would reach out to the folks at our College Auxiliary Services because they can help with that. We can just pull up the dining plans for y'all quick too. Okay. What hours may students access food services? So again, their site can probably tell you specific times, but I want to say they probably open sometime around 7 a.m. I believe, 7 or 7:30 in the morning. Oh, there's hours are right there. So the main dining hall is open until 8 p.m. We do have late night food service available in some of our food services. As you can see, some are open until midnight or 1 a.m. depending on the day of the week.
In terms of your first dorm choice, how does the first come, first served procedure work? Does your deposit date lock you into a numbered queue? So to answer that question, it is not your deposit that locks you in, it's your housing application. So when we say for your first dorm choice, so we really encourage students to put 5 building choices. I know some people have their heart set on being in one particular building, and we want to try to accommodate those students' requests as best as we can, but it's a very, very good idea to put 5 dorm choices just in case we cannot accommodate your first choice. And how that first come, first serve works is when we get to we assign in the order that the housing applications are received, and that starts from February 1st all the way till the end of July. And when we get to your housing application, we'll look at what building choices you want. And if we are able to accommodate your first choice, we will put you in your first choice. If your first choice building is filled, we'll move on to your second, your third, until we are able to accommodate your request. It's also a good idea that if you have requested a roommate and you know the person that you want to live with, whoever submitted their application first is most likely going to be the person's application that we go by. So it is a good idea to communicate with your potential roommate if you do know who you want to live with, to make sure that you both are on the same page in terms of where you guys want to live.
Someone asked if there was a curfew. No, we don't have a curfew here at SUNY Plattsburgh. You can kind of come and go as you please into your building. You will have an ID card that will allow you to access your residence hall any time of day. Kind of the only exception to that is after midnight, you can only access your residence hall. You won't be able to access another residence hall on campus until I believe it's 6 a.m. So there's a little bit of a time frame in there where you can only access your residence hall. Do you pay for laundry? Yes, you do pay a laundry fee. It is $40 per semester, but then there is unlimited washing and drying. You can actually do as much laundry as you want or that you need to. Our institution also has a really neat feature with our laundry service called Laundry View, where students can actually pull up a website and be able to see, you know, how many washers, how many dryers are available in the laundry room, and it actually can notify you when your laundry is done as well.
Who oversees?
So the next question is, who oversees the floor? So on every residence hall floor, there is a resident assistant, which is a student staff member who is trained to be on the floor, and they manage, you know, programming and community building on the floor, as well as enforcing college policy. Also within the building, there is a residence director, and that person oversees the resident assistants and kind of the overall functioning and running of the residence hall.
The next question is, do the residence halls have wireless internet access? Yes, there is wireless internet access in all of the buildings. There is also a direct internet access in each room as well. Another question is, can I have a candle in my room? Absolutely not. Candles are a fire hazard. They are dangerous to not only yourself but other students in the building. If you happen to forget them on in your room, they could cause a fire and it could potentially hurt you or anybody in the building. So any heat-producing products such as candles, coffee makers, they're not allowed in the room, although we do allow a Keurig in the room, but like hair straighteners, hair dryers, those are heat producing and will set off the fire alarms. They are supposed to be used in the bathrooms.
And also on our website, there is a list of helpful items to bring and things not to bring. So that'll kind of give you an idea. Like, for example, we don't allow students to bring their own microwave. We actually do have microwaves provided in our kitchenettes, so that's one thing that we don't allow as well.
So the next question is, for roommate selection, do they contact you directly? So I can go back to one of the slides in our PowerPoint. So this page right here, this is under the roommate selection tab on the housing portal. So up at the top, above the simple roommate search, it does say you do not have any roommate suite mate requests for this term. If somebody does send you a roommate request, you will be able to see it here. There will be a couple boxes where you can decline that person, you can view their profile, or you can confirm them as a roommate, or send them a message. So to answer that person's question for roommate selection, do they contact you directly? Yes, in a sense, they do contact you directly. You do get a notification sent right to your housing portal.
Another thing to note just about the roommate part is it's okay if you don't know, who you want to live with. This is just an option for you to either look up someone that you might know that's coming here, or to maybe look for somebody kind of in advance, but it's okay to go in the process without a roommate. That is okay. If that's the case for you, when we go to process the housing applications and the assignments at the end of July, we will match you up with someone else who answers the housing application very similar to yourself. So don't get nervous that you have to find a roommate yourself. You don't. That's something we will definitely help with. But do know, like, if you do come to orientation, that tends to be a good time for students to meet one another. Doesn't mean you have to, but sometimes that does happen, that students may find somebody during that time. So like I said, you don't have to meet anyone or look for anyone ahead of time. We will certainly help you get matched up with somebody before the semester begins.
The next question is, what's the difference between the high-rise double and suite double? So if you actually go to the Plattsburgh webpage, and if you type in virtual tour, I'm not sure if this is, no. If you go to Housing and Residence Life, you will actually be able to see a virtual tour. I'm just trying to locate it at the moment.
We just had some of our website redone. I think they moved it on us, but we will find it for you just so we can give you an idea of what that piece looks like.
Oh, there you go. No, that's not it. Well, somewhere on the housing page there is a virtual tour of the residence halls, and you can get an idea of what a corridor style building or a high-rise double versus a suite double looks like. So pretty much a corridor style building is you have your hallway of rooms or wing of rooms with rooms on each side of the hallway and a community bathroom that you share between your half of the floor. Versus a suite double, when you get off the floor of a suite, there's 4 suites per floor. So you'll see 4 doorways that you could enter, and once you enter that suite doorway, then you have 3 or 4 rooms inside of that kind of sectioned off area. So you only live with the, the 4 or 3 rooms that are in the suite, so you have a smaller bathroom to share between the 6 or 8 people in the suite versus sharing a larger bathroom that is scaled to accommodate multiple people on that floor. Is the housing cost for one semester or for the entire year? So everything, your entire overall college bill, everything gets billed to you per semester. So for the housing cost, it is per semester. You get a room rent charge, a meal plan charge, and there's also 2 other housing fees. There's the washer dryer fee that we mentioned before, as well as a hall council payment There's also, your tuition, your fees, and some other different charges that gets charged to you per semester. You do access that bill through your My Plattsburgh account. Okay, so a question from a transfer student. I'm a transfer student and fall 2016 will be my first semester at Plattsburgh. Does that mean I have to stay on campus for the next 2 years? I will be turning 21 July 2017 and I'm graduating. Well, that's not necessary, but to answer that person's question, if that student, so if you are transferring into SUNY Plattsburgh, if you will be 21 by October 1st, so if you're turning 21 in July 2017, you would not be 21 by this October 1st of 2016. If you have not lived on a college campus for 4 semesters or 2 years, then you would be required to live on campus. For the fall of 2017, you would be eligible because you would be turning 21 in July. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so someone asked, are there any buildings other than those labeled that incoming freshmen are not allowed to use? The only 2 buildings that are sort of not eligible for incoming first-year students are Harrington Hall and McDonough Hall. Those buildings are for upper class students only. So in your first year, you won't be eligible to live there, but for your sophomore year, you will certainly be eligible to live there. Oh, someone asked this question. So I have heard that one or more of the dorms has an underground tunnel that connects to other buildings. Can you tell me which dorms this would be? So yes, that is very true. So Adirondack Hall, Banks Hall, and Whiteface Hall are connected by what we call the underground tunnel. But basically what it is you're going to feel like you're kind of in the basement area. But there is some hallways that do connect those buildings. Kind of a neat thing about that is it also connects to Algonquin Hall, which is one of our dining halls. So it's kind of a neat thing for some of our students that live in those buildings, especially on a day where it might be raining out or something and they want to go get a meal and they don't want to get wet. They can walk through the tunnels to go to that dining hall or to even go visit someone that they know that might live in a different building.
Is there wired internet ports throughout residence halls? Yes, there are wired internet ports in each room. There is also wireless internet access throughout the residence halls as well as anywhere on campus.
So the next question is, we would like to see what each dorm looks like. So if you go to our housing page, there are some basic pictures of the outsides of each building, but also what I would recommend is if you go to the admissions homepage, on the right-hand side, you're going to see a link for some of these online chats like we're doing today, and you'll be able to see the session that Steve Matthews, who's the Director of Housing and Residence Life, and myself did, and in that PowerPoint, you'll also see some additional pictures that we show sort of our buildings. But these basic ones you'll see here just kind of the outside of our building. So feel free to take a look more closely at those. You'll be able to see which buildings are the high-rise buildings. Like I said, mostly shows you the outside of the buildings.
Is one of the freshman-only dorms set up in suite-style living with a common area with a couch and chairs? So one of our freshman buildings for the 2016-17 school year is going to be a suite-style building. It is going to be Moffett Hall. The other is Whiteface Hall. And Whiteface is a corridor-style building, and like I said before, Moffett is a suite-style building only because our other all-freshman building is going to be renovated. So when you go inside of the suite, you will have some chairs and like a love seat and the coffee table potentially inside of that suite lounge. Inside of the bedroom, you will have chairs in your room for your desk, but in terms of the common area, there will be couch and chairs in that common area.
So something kind of neat that we're doing, and Nikki mentioned it a little bit, is that each year we are doing a renovation of one of our residence halls. So each year we take a building offline, we renovate the inside of it, and then it opens back up. So this coming fall, Moffett Hall will open back up and is going to be newly renovated. And the next building that we're going to do is Wilson Hall, which will go offline at the end of this academic year. And we'll go offline for a year. But after this renovation is complete, we're about halfway through our residence halls. So we're excited to say that, we are making our way through our buildings and excited to see them and the new changes that we're able to put in them. I don't know if anyone has any additional questions. Looks like we're kind of coming to a close here. So I think kind of with that, let me see if Nikki has any additional thoughts she wants to share.
Not really, but, if anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to email us. Our main email is housing@plattsburgh.edu. They do go directly to me, and also you can email Tricia as well. You can see on the last page of the slideshow here that you can email either one of us, and we'd be happy to assist with any of your questions. We did have one last question that came in. I'm an adult student. What is the difference between adult and normal housing? We can accommodate, non-traditional students on campus. We do take your, you would fill out the housing application just like any other student would fill out, and, depending on what type of answers you put on your housing application, we would try to match you with somebody who meets the same, criteria as you do based off of your housing application. So, if you do put that you study late at night and you go to bed later, we would try to match you with somebody like that. We would also try to place you with a little bit older student if we do have one. So we do, take our students into consideration when trying to accommodate, their specific requests, or if they have, additional needs that need to be fulfilled, we take that into consideration as well.
So there's an additional question about what freshman buildings will be the suite style building, and that is, again, Moffett Hall. That's going to be opening up this coming fall as a suite style building. It looks like one of the last questions we have here is, do rooms have cable TV access? Is there a charge for it? So no, there's no charge for it. It's kind of included in your general housing fees, but yes, there's cable TV. We also have HBO to go, and we have a Res Life Cinema, which is like an online movie streaming site. The easiest thing to compare it to is Netflix, but we actually have new release movies that are on there, which is pretty exciting. So looks like that kind of wraps up our session for tonight, but if people still have questions, like we said before, please feel free to email us. Either of those email addresses is fine, and we'll be able to kind of go through that. I know some folks will be coming to campus soon for open house, and there will be some tours available. We're going to have about 4 residence halls available that day, so students will be able to take a look at some of the buildings and rooms and things like that, and be able to kind of get a better sense of that. But again, thanks for joining us tonight. Please give us a call, email us if you need anything. If you're having trouble with the application or just want some more direct questions or answers about housing, feel free to get in touch with us.